Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are in the country. Thank you for being here. We're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Kirsten Schatz, and I'm the Clean Air Advocate for COPIRG, the Colorado Public Interest Research Group. We speak out for the public and stand up to special interests on problems that affect all of our health, safety, and well-being. We're a part of a nationwide network of groups, including PIRG, Environment America, and affiliated state groups. We are co-hosting today's briefing as part of a series of informative webinars for state and local lawmakers and your staff on key issues affecting our environment, health, and safety. In case you'd like to attend any upcoming briefings on a variety of other topics, we're putting the link in the chat so you can see that schedule. I will kick things off by talking about the problem of the day and the solutions at hand. And then I'll turn it over to Clean Air Lawn Care CEO Kelly Giard to share his perspective as a business owner in this field. Next up will be Regional Air Quality Council Executive Director Mike Silverstein to talk about both some of the funding his organization is providing to help individuals, public entities, and companies make the switch to electric lawn equipment, plus some of the policies under consideration here in Colorado to restrict the use and the sale of the dirtiest gas-powered lawn equipment. Finally, we'll hear from Colorado State Senator Chris Hansen with some details about the new law he passed this year to establish a statewide discount on electric lawn equipment. We are all based in Colorado, but we hope that we'll be able to share from our experience here in a way that's helpful for all of you across the country. So with fall in the air, chances are that leaf blowers have been going full blast in a neighborhood near you. We released a new report this week that shows gas-powered lawnmowers, leaf blowers, and other outdoor equipment generate an astonishing amount of harmful air pollution and noise. According to our analysis of data from the EPA's National Emissions Inventory, lawn and garden equipment in the U.S. emitted an estimated 21,800 tons of harmful fine particulate air pollution in 2020. That's the most recent year available in the data. And that compares to the amount emitted by over 234 million cars over the course of a year. These same tools also collectively released more than 30 million tons of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere in 2020. That's more than all of the greenhouse gas emissions from the entire city of Los Angeles. We are posting the link to the report page in the chat. I hope you'll get a chance to check that out when you have some time. There's a really great interactive data tool, plus a searchable map where you can really dig into the county level data that's available. We include in the report rankings for the 10 worst states in the country by pollutant from lawn equipment, as well as the top 100 worst counties for each of 3 main pollutants. So to see whether your county and state made those lists, take a look at a copy of the full report, which we'll post in the chat here. So all of this unnecessary pollution really brings a significant health cost. I know that some of you are aware exposure to fine particulates, to ozone-forming nitrogen oxides, otherwise known as NOx, and to volatile organic compounds, VOCs. So NOx and VOCs, those are the 2 chemical components that combine in the presence of sunlight to form harmful ground-level ozone. And toxic chemicals such as benzene and formaldehyde. These are all emitted by gas-powered mowers and blowers. And it's scientifically linked to health problems. Exposure to a variety of these substances is linked to problems including asthma attacks, lung damage, cardiovascular disease, reproductive ailments, mental health challenges, cancer, and even premature death. It's absurd that we've been tolerating so much harmful pollution and noise from cutting grass and tidying up landscapes. The good news is that we no longer have to put up with it because cleaner, quieter electric equipment is capable. It's increasingly affordable and it's readily available. And of course, there's always just the option to use a rake. So I'll put that out there. Electric lawn equipment has emerged in recent years as an attractive alternative to highly polluting gas-powered tools. Electric mowers, leaf blowers, trimmers, and chainsaws are all easy to find at local retailers. These tools do sometimes have a higher initial price tag, but using them saves money over time because of lower operating costs. Our report also found that electric lawn equipment is often comparable in quality and performance to gas-powered equipment. It is far quieter and produces reduced vibration, making it safer to operate. We recommend that state and local governments use electric equipment on public property and provide financial incentives and opportunities for training and support to encourage the widespread adoption of electric lawn equipment. These incentives can take many forms, from a tax credit to a rebate from the local utility to a local voucher program. And Senator Hansen and Mike Silverstein will dive into some examples of these. You can also consider restrictions on the sale and or the use of the most polluting fossil fuel powered equipment, which counterintuitively, when I say that, the most polluting, counterintuitively, the smaller equipment is actually more polluting pound for pound than the bigger equipment. And that's because of inefficient two-stroke engine technology that's used in most handheld equipment like leaf blowers and trimmers and chainsaws and some push lawnmowers. The larger lawnmowers and especially the riding mowers tend to have four-stroke engines, which are more, slightly less inefficient, and they don't mix oil and fuel in the same way that two-stroke engines do. So that's why counterintuitively the smaller stuff is even dirtier. But fortunately, the smaller stuff is where battery operated and other electric equipment really is very capable, comparable, and readily available. So again, you can consider the sale and use restrictions on the most polluting gas-powered lawn equipment. You can do that statewide or in a certain region. For example, here in Colorado, we have an ozone non-attainment area where we're in violation of the Clean Air Act. And I know Mike Silverstein will touch on that a bit. And you can also look at whether the use restrictions are based on the time of day or the time of year or the amount of noise produced. There's a lot of different options. You can find even more detailed suggestions and examples of existing policies on a bunch of different fronts on page 19 of the full report. And we'll post that link in the chat again in case you missed it earlier. Many of you have heard about California's small off-roads engine, SOAR, S-O-R-E, rule that's going into effect in January. That essentially stops the sale of fossil fuel-powered outdoor equipment, including lawn and garden tools, under a certain engine size. And you might be wondering whether that's an option under the Clean Air Act. You should definitely consult your lawyers, but my understanding is that the timeline is such that it's too late for any of us other states to adopt the California standards under the Clean Air Act for these engines. But definitely, find another policy or a set of policies that will work best for your state. Ultimately, we should all stop selling and using the dirtiest gas-powered lawn and garden equipment because it's harming our health and our quality of life. And cleaner, quieter electric equipment is ready to go. We shouldn't accept tons of air pollution and ear-splitting noise as inevitable when taking care of gardens and lawns. We have better ways. It's time to transition away from highly polluting gas-powered equipment as quickly as possible. So now I will hand it over to business owner Kelly Giard to introduce himself and share some about his experience with this topic.
Yeah, thanks, Kirsten. That's great overview you gave there. So my name is Kelly Giard. I'm the CEO and founder of Clean Air Lawn Care. We are out of Fort Collins, Colorado. We started here in 2006. Currently, we are in 16 states. So we're a franchise system. The headquarters, the franchisor, is in Fort Collins, and then our franchisees are all across the U.S. And so we've grown from this one location to about 75 territories across the U.S. I'll tell you the states here: Michigan, Massachusetts, North Carolina, South Carolina, Missouri, Washington, Oregon, Wyoming, Idaho, Colorado, Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, Georgia, Delaware, and Ohio. So, we've grown every year. We have an overflow of customer demand. We have just to give you an idea of the validation of the model, our Google ranking nationally, the average is 4.8. And for a lawn care company, that's hard to do. So to me, that attests to how viable it is and how happy the customer is with our equipment. So we use all electric mowers, trimmers, and blowers. We use some gas with things like aerators and stuff like that, one-off type stuff. And then we also have a solar generator essentially on our truck so we can recharge on the go. I think that's about it.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Kelly. I think it's just great to hear that, you know, when people have questions and concerns, and there are, you know, concerns that are particular to the commercial sector when looking at that transition, but I always just love to point to the fact that there are companies like yours out there doing it already. So like you said, proof of concept. And then I know these folks exist in other states. I don't actually know of any other nationally franchised company, but you know, there's a 21-year-old entrepreneur down the street from me who's doing his, you know, sole proprietor operation. He does, I don't know, 40 or 50 properties a week, mostly residential, but all electric. And so, you know, companies and entrepreneurs are figuring this out and making it work. And we want to lift that up. So thank you, Kelly. And Mike, if you are ready, we'd love to hear from you. So Mike Silverstein is the executive director of the Regional Air Quality Council here in Colorado. I'll let him tell a little bit more about that and about some of their programs to offer funding to help accelerate the widespread adoption of electric equipment in our region. And and about some of the policies that are on the table here in our area.
Okay, great. And thank you very much. And I really appreciate the opportunity to participate today. If it's okay, I'll share my screen. I think I have that capability. Oops, it says I've been disabled. I just have about 5 slides that I think I can speak to.
One moment.
Okay.
Let me figure out how to do this. For Alex or Ellie, do you know how to?
And if not, I can speak to it.
No, we'd love to. Your slides will be great. I wonder if we need to maybe remove, there we go. I'm going to remove the spotlight, make you a co-host. And then we're gonna spot. There you go. You should be able to now, Mike.
Okay, good. I think I can spot it here. Let's see if I get the right one going for this. Do you see it now?
Yes, I see a couple different windows.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I see like your desktop. Yeah. I think once you present, we'll be good to go.
Okay, let me try this one more time. And if I can get it to work, this would be the best one to share. How's this? Does it have a map that you can see?
Yep, looks good.
Okay, great. Well, this is just a
so
graphic.
If you want to present, Mike, to make it even larger, that might be good.
Okay, I'll do that. I'm screening it. I'm trying to present here. How's that?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Thanks. So this is just the graphic as Kirsten mentioned. We have a rather large non-attainment area for the ozone air quality standards here in the Front Range of Colorado, which includes the Denver metro area and surrounding counties all the way up to the Wyoming border. And so the Regional Air Quality Council is what we call a lead planning agency for air quality, and we're not the state, but we're closely tied with the state of Colorado as the governor appoints our board and gives us our executive order and our charge. But we're responsible for developing air quality plans and implementing strategies, doing public education and outreach, and assisting local governments. But as Kirsten is teed up, we've been working on policy and incentive programs for the electrification of lawn and garden equipment. And so this graphic here just presents the kind of the impact from an emissions perspective. So when we look at lawn and garden equipment highlighted here, we could see that, you know, it's a very significant category of emissions compared to the numerous other categories that we have. You know, we have a big non-attainment area with a lot of industrial and commercial activities and residential activities as well. But we could see, for example, lawn and garden equipment emit more volatile organic compounds than all of our vehicles in the region. So it's really just a testament to the sheer quantity of emissions that occur from what we really didn't think about a few years back as being a significant source category. And so we really do need to focus on lawn and garden equipment emission reductions to help us make progress to cleaner air. And so we have a number of incentive programs that we've either been operating for quite some time or that we're standing up in our region. And so we've been working with government and public entities. We've received about $2 million over the last couple of years to provide grants to local governments, state agencies, school districts, whatever they might be, to essentially go shopping for electric equipment and retire, which is part of the deal. You have to retire an equivalent amount of gas-powered equipment through metal recycling and other means. And so we're basically getting that old dirty lawn and garden equipment off the grass, replaced with electric or manual or other equipment. We're standing up a commercial program to provide grants to those small operators and maybe even larger operators to go electric. So it's a smaller program. We're in the fundraising mode right now, but we've been able to raise about $120,000 to pass directly back to commercial operators in small grants to begin to electrify their equipment. We've always run a residential program at the RAC where we provide vouchers to residents to turn in an old gas mower or gas device and then receive a discount on new equipment. And we've been running programs for over 20 years, but we plan on another $150,000 in 2024 to the effort. And then we've, and Senator Hansen will speak to this if he's able to join our call, recently adopted state electrification incentives where anybody who's shopping for electric lawn and garden equipment over the next couple of years at participating retailers can just get an instant 30% discount, what we call a point of sale discount on electric equipment. And so this would be, hey, I buy a new chainsaw or a mower, whatever that is, a snowblower. So there are certain categories of equipment that are covered, and those would receive this instant discount. And then we're always fundraising. We need to increase the incentive amounts in a big way to go electric. We're also advancing a regulatory proposal. Kirsten mentioned the California SOAR program. This is not that. That, as mentioned, the window is closed for adopting what California did, but it doesn't prevent us from advancing regulatory recommendations to the state to reduce emissions from this category. So we have a sales strategy that would essentially end the sale of gas-powered smaller equipment, the push and handheld equipment within our big non-attainment area beginning in 2025. And then we have what we call an in-use strategy, which would prohibit governments and commercial operators from using the same equipment in a phased period in the summer months only. June through August is our high ozone season. So beginning in 2025, government goes first, followed by commercial operators in 2026. And as the last bullet here mentions, this proposal is in front of our state Air Quality Control Commission for a public hearing and consideration later this year in December. Want to really highlight that we have a lot of, we understand that electrical equipment is not, may not be right or would not be appropriate in certain circumstances. We have a number of exemptions or places where the restrictions on the use would not apply. And these really get to the things like the large gas-powered equipment, those riding tractors and the largest mowers. The sales strategies wouldn't apply, and the use strategies to those that are in kind of the first response mode or dealing with forest or grassland management. It's really about, there's a list here of the things, but it's really about the urban use for ornamental landscaping activities. That's where our programs are targeting, and we hope that these programs are adopted by the state. And then finally, I mentioned money. It's always the big driver to our incentive programs. The more money we get, the more money we can push out to the community. And so we're basically kind of on a fundraising campaign to raise $7 million to help better fund our public sector incentive program, the commercial incentive program, to really build that out and to also provide existing resources to the average person who wants to simply go electric. And so we're shopping our funding proposal to the state for a legislative allocation and to the private sector and with contributions and donations so that we can really make a big difference in this space. And I think, Kirsten, that's it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mike. It's much appreciated. And we finally will hear from Colorado State Senator Chris Hansen, who's going to tell us more details about the law that he crafted and got over the finish line and got to the governor's desk that will establish a discount on electric lawn equipment here in Colorado, in case anyone out there across the country would be interested in kind of using that as an example in your own state. And then we will open it up for question and answer after that and get you out of here by 11:30 Mountain Time. Thank you, Senator Hansen.
All right. Well, a very good morning, everyone. State Senator Chris Hansen. I represent Central and East Denver in the state Senate. And yeah, I was very pleased to work closely with CoPIRG and others on Senate Bill 16 last year. It was a multi-year effort. We had an earlier version of the bill that got filibustered at the end of the 22 session, but it was great to bring it back bigger and better in the 23 session and got it to the governor's desk. And I think that bill has lots of different parts to it to reduce emissions in the state. But the one, of course, we're focusing on today is how do we drastically increase the adoption of electric small engines, replacing small engines, I should say. So snow blowers, mowers, leaf blowers, trimmers, etc., chainsaws, all included in the legislative bill that we passed earlier this year in April and early May. And essentially what we did is we designed a program to try to create the least amount of friction for consumers as possible. And so similar to some of the changes you're seeing on electric vehicle rebate and tax incentive programs happening at the federal level, which starting in 2024 will be happening at the dealer or at the time of sale, we really tried to create zero friction for the individual retail customer. And so you can walk into a Home Depot or a Lowe's or an Ace Hardware, or wherever you might want to buy your power equipment, and get an immediate 30% off of the MSRP, off the retail price. And we also included an extra incentive for the retailers to implement the program. So the total cost to the state is 33% tax credit on the purchase price, 30% goes to the retail customer, and then that 3% is able to be retained by the retailer to cover their overheads of delivering this tax credit, essentially. So it's kind of a way to get more of the retailers involved more quickly. One of the things that we're looking at right now is how do we have these reimbursements happen, on a quarterly basis for retailers. Right now, they're set up to be an annual reimbursement, which for the big guys like Home Depot is no big deal. For Lowe's, no big deal. But for some of the mom and pop shops, that's a little bit more of a float they have to carry. And of course, we're in a high interest rate environment. So those are some of the things you want to keep in mind if you look at this type of approach policy wise. But those are relatively minor details. I think we're going to have a huge uptake from the retail side, and I think we're going to have huge uptake from the customer side, because as most people are aware, the battery technology and the electric technology right now is at the point where for under 2 kilowatt gas engines, that's kind of the break point right now. It is clearly lower operating cost, better, cheaper, faster, if you will, to use electric equipment. So for the average homeowner, it's going to be a better experience all around. It's going to be lower cost over the life cycle of that product. It's obviously going to be lower emissions and lower noise, lower nuisance factor in their neighborhoods. So we really are in a position where we're upgrading the experience for the customer, and now it's going to be even cheaper because of the state tax incentive that we've put in place through Senate Bill 16. So we hope we've created really just a massive win-win-win for the air, win for ozone and CO2 emissions, a win for the customer, and a big win for the retailer as well as we make this transition. So trying to fit hand in glove with all the work that Mike just described from the RAC side. We've got the Regional Air Quality Commission, the State Air Quality Commission. They're both looking heavily at this issue for both criteria pollutants, ozone, all the way through to total greenhouse gas emissions. So I think we've put in place something that is really going to work well for residential, for commercial, and for public entities, and trying to hit the, all the notes on the piano, so to speak, to make sure that we're getting all those types of customers covered by incentive programs and speed up this transition that's going to have major dividends for us on the environmental quality side. So again, great to work with PIRG on this bill, among many others. And, we're going to look carefully and see how the market responds in 2024, and always ready to make adjustments or improvements in the policy side. But I know everybody on this call understands the urgency of action that's needed here. And we're hoping to really lead the way when it comes to the policy space in Colorado. And again, thanks for the invitation today to be with you, and certainly happy to answer any questions about the policy or ways that we might be able to help in other areas of the country.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Senator. Yeah, and we will open it up to some Q&A now. So if you have questions, please put them in the chat, and that will go to us panelists, and we will lift some of them up if as time allows.